Welcome to Night Class. If you're a USC student, it's almost certain that you've run into this same situation, right? It's game day, you started drinking before birds woke up, you fist pumped your way through sicko mode enough times to throw out your shoulder, and you pass out on top of Bo, the mental health dog, on the way to the Coliseum. And as you're on the way to the emergency room, you get a text message from your dad saying, "What the hell am I paying for at that damn school anyway?" Well, for that answer, look no further than the topic of today's episode, the Village. Here's the deal. Two of the Village's former restaurants are suing USC. These two restaurants are Rance's Chicago-style pizza and the Butcher, Baker, and Cappuccino Maker, named after, of course, the inevitable career paths of the liberal arts majors that studied there. On August 15th, they sued the school for fraud, misrepresentation, and breach of contract, or as they would call it, FMBC. And in the complaint, they say the school withheld a bunch of information during contract negotiations, like underestimating how many restaurants there would be, and concealing the fact that they were going to actually build a massive dining hall, apparently modeled after the conference space used by Slytherin's business majors. And we're not even kidding there. Here's the map they gave Rance's and BBCM. It highlights all the restaurants and retail spots supposed to open up at the Village. But if you look at where the dining hall is supposed to be, it's left blank. And if you look even closer, the only thing there is Draco Malfoy. But their biggest complaint was that the university allegedly told them students would be able to pay for food at the Village using their USC meal cards, also known as the best way of pretending like you're not spending $16 on an acai bowl. Obviously, using meal cards would have brought in a ton of business for these restaurants. Even Barilla would have been a hot new spot. Who did that? Who put that? Was it you? Did you do that? You put sneaky over here at Night Class. No, that's ridiculous. Barilla was destined to fail. According to their complaint, Rance's was so sure that students would be able to use their meal cards that they put it into their initial budget projections. But after signing the contract, getting ready to open, and contacting the school multiple times, they apparently still heard nothing from USC. The last time our school ghosted someone so hard, Reggie Bush was asking for his Heisman back. Now, why would the school do that? Well, to put things in perspective, the Village was a massive investment for USC, a development so opulent that when they opened it in 2017, this is how they finished the opening ceremony.
Any questions?
Look, the person behind the real estate dealings for these restaurants at the Village was Brian Wilson, an official from USC's Real Estate Asset Management Office, also known as the Ream Team, which is a lot like the Dream Team, only they're not playing basketball in the 80s or defending OJ in court. Rance's and BBCM say they worked with Wilson in signing the contract. Wilson apparently told them that students would be able to use Topingo to accept student meal cards at their restaurants, which wasn't true. Topingo was a wonderful app, and we miss it very much. And we would have loved to spend our dining dollars with it at the Village. We would never take Topingo for granted. If Topingo was here, we I'm sorry. Just keep going. Just keep moving up. And to understand why the Village restaurants still can't accept meal cards as payment, here's how it works. There are two types of restaurants at USC, the ones that can accept student meal cards and those that can't. The ones that are usually on campus, such as Seeds, The Habit, JV Chipotle, Com Student Pretend Study Spot, Mistake Number 1, Mistakes 2 through 7, I Think Pizza, Hipster Seeds, and, of course, Melted Crayola Mason Jar Shop. Each of these restaurants are partially owned by USC, meaning that they are non-private and they have to pay rent while sharing their profit with the school. Meanwhile, restaurants at the Village only have to pay rent and fees. They get to keep their profit and remain privately owned, so students can't use their meal cards there. But with all of these issues surrounding the opening of the Village, it's no surprise that a bunch of restaurants got upset. In their complaint, Rance's and BBCM say that a group of restaurants wrote a petition to USC's president at the time, Max Nikias. Rances said that before they even signed the petition, they got a letter from Brian Wilson and the Ream team saying that he would refuse to work with Rances if they signed it. But of course, these are all allegations. And while we could keep talking about them, we thought it would be better to hear from Rances directly. Now, disclaimer, they offered to give us free pizza, but we would never compromise our journalistic integrity and take bribes from the subject of our story.
So good. You want to have a seat? Yeah, sit down. Yeah.
So Rance, thank you so much for being here
Oh,
today.
wait, I'm
Really
Aaron.
Appreciate it.
My first name's Aaron.
What? we
Yeah, you're close. My best friend's Rance.
we couldn't get. That's
Yeah.
fine.
He's in the back making pizza.
So what I'm confused is that it sounds like using discretionary dollars for a
Yeah.
business sounds like a win-win for USC, right? It works with their meal card plan. So why didn't they let you guys just use the meal card?
I'm glad you asked that.
Okay.
So the first response was, it's an IT issue. We can't get around it. I've asked IT what we can do.
It's an IT issue?
IT issue, yes. So then we go to the other advisor, third-party person, and that person represents that it's an alcohol issue. You can't do it because if you sell alcohol, you can't do it. I said, well, Rosso Orsini's, Rosso's.
No one's been there.
Yeah, no one, yeah. If you ever been there, you could use it. So the alcohol issue thing was another kind of excuse ploy.
And again, you don't think it's because they were New York style and you were Chicago style?
You know,
Something to look into.
the Ream team actually really liked our food a lot. That's why one of the reasons why they wanted us to be there.
You served the Ream team.
Oh, yeah.
Was it Brian Wilson?
One of them was, yes.
One of them was Brian Wilson.
Yes, he was in, and Rance was actually serving him at the bar at Rance's at USC. And
Right.
said, Brian, what's up with this meal card thing, man? He said, as he's eating his slice of pizza, enjoying it, it's USC hospitality. So there's another player emerges. USC hospitality, they make a lot of money off those meal cards. That's where their sales come through. They generate that. So they did not want the competition. And
So-
they didn't want to lose the revenue.
They didn't want the competition from the edition that they built.
That's what we were told.
Aaron, thank you very
Dan.
much. USC, of course, has denied most of the claims in this lawsuit. They even gave us a statement that said, as it did with other prospective tenants at the USC Village, USC informed Rances and BBCM that while it recognized the benefit to tenants and students if meal cards could be used at USC Village restaurants, there was no guarantee that students would be able to use them there in the future. So the school essentially said there's this awesome benefit that would help your business so much. In fact, it's so helpful, we're not going to let you do it. And this gets at the heart of what the Village has come to represent. On the surface, everything seems great, but like the search history in a middle school computer lab, it gets worse the more you look into it. The Village isn't just the biggest construction development in the history of USC, it's the biggest for all of South LA, which was something President Nikias was sure to highlight during that same opening ceremony in 2017.
It will serve as a scholarly sanctuary, an ideal environment for living and learning, a place where the pursuit of knowledge extends far beyond the classrooms and beyond the boundaries of disciplines. It will be a testing ground for new ideas and new experiences.
Yes, dismount, I tell thee, from the lofty Irby steeds on which you glide across our laden brick, and engage with your fellow student. Perchance you will chaffer a pack of Trident or a box of pre-game White Claws at ye olden Target before venturing off to the trading post, where the pumpkin products stretch as long as their inefficient line system. But beware, dear sage, of the place they call Oceania. For no one truly knows what kraken and beasts swirl behind its seemingly closed doors. Legend has it that someone... Sorry. Got carried away. During its opening ceremony, Nikias called the Village the crown jewel of USC. And yes, it's an impressive development. It's very nice. But there's something to be said when the crown jewel of your university is a venue that sells Wahlburgers and frozen Smurf blood from a stoner polar bear. So that whole image of it being a venue for the Socratic exchange of ideas is pretty off the mark. Which brings us back to this lawsuit. Rances and BBCM say when USC sold them the concept of the Village, they weren't being completely honest. The restaurants say they were promised things like a Village farmers market, outdoor concerts, and community events, none of which happened, but certainly helped convince restaurants to sign on to the product, like promising craft services at your student films, but only showing up with Slim Jims and water. And like most student films, the idea of the Village was a lot better than the execution. Nikias had a vision for what he wanted the Village to be. It was a huge project on a tight timetable. In total, it took 900 days to build and cost about $650 million, which was all paid by donors. Yeah, that's right. No government subsidies, no taxpayer dollars, all donors. No matter what you may think of Nikias, the man approached funding like a drunk student facing an unopened jar of Nutella with a spoon. Nothing's stopping them from getting as much as they want, and you're not going to tell them otherwise. It was part of Nikias' grand vision for our school as a whole. And remember that opening ceremony from earlier? No, God, no, earlier.
The looks of the University Village give us 1,000 years of history we don't have.
Right. A history we don't have. Never mind the astronauts, Nobel Prize winners, world-class athletes, and, yes, scholars that our school produced before the Village even opened. That history apparently didn't matter. What did matter was finishing this rushed project, which left us with a lawsuit from an alumni looking to expand their small business. This is just one of the scandals that's clouded our history over the past few years, and it's something that USC will have to deal with moving forward. What we need to make sure as a school is that this kind of thing doesn't happen again. We can continue to build on our history, but we can't lose sight of what that history is in the process. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to attend a funeral for a dear friend.